Hi, welcome back to another lesson. So in this lesson, we are going to look at how to add to carts. We have been able to check that we can we have the add to cart button right here, and it is now a form that submits whatever they click, any product they click on. We grab, there's a form behind this card now that we grab all the information of that product and drop the information on the form. Alright, so here we have a counter that is counting the number of products that we have added to carts. So the next thing is to implement the add to cart button. So on our page, we have the button on the card which says add to cart, and then the name of the button is add to cart. So this button we check when they click on it. They click on the button. If it says add to cart, what will happen? Before anything happens, we have what is called session. We used session the other time, but I didn't explain it in details. Section is used to store data into the memory of the server so that the data can persist across the pages or across the application until the session is destroyed. So we use it to store things. Taking for instance, look at session like a memory that you can say, okay, let us store this there, let us store this there, and then later on we can now say let us clean it. So a session can store multiple variables at a time, multiple values at a time. That's what makes it to be different from variable. It store it as an array and all that. So let's look at it. The first thing, if you want to use a session, is to start it. Session underscore start. Session start. For those of us who are doing JavaScript, it's the same thing as the session of JavaScript. Or if local storage is what you know, yes, it is something like that, but it's just that it's more than a local storage. Local storage can store things for a very long time. Session will only store things for that particular session, and once you close that session, it is gone. But local storage can store things for a very long time on a browser. So that's what makes this session to be different. But we have session too in JavaScript. Alright, so we check if the add to cart is set. And then, what do we want to do here? What we want to do is that we want to grab all those things that you send as an array. So in that case, I will create a variable items that will store all our items, and the item is going to be array, because we want to store our things inside an array. That will be like this. So we are going to have item ID, that is the ID of the product, to be, we are creating an associative array in PHP. You create an associative array like this, like an object in JavaScript. Variable post, whatever coming as ID in the add to cart, comma. So I'll duplicate this down. Okay. So item ID, then item name, that will stand for the product name. So this will be product name, because from our hidden form it is product name. All this is what we are grabbing now. All this is what we are grabbing. Product name, price, image, and all that. So we're going to have product name, then item price to be whatever coming from the post price, then item quantity is going to be whatever the quantity is. In fact, we can do something right here by just setting it to be 1 here rather than doing it down there as well. So what? Let's move on. We've done it already. Then item image will be whatever coming from image down there. Now after doing all this, we pass it into this item array, and then we will now store that into a session, call it cart, session cart. So I will come here now and create the session cards is equal to variable items. If we come here and say, okay, what do we have inside our cards, and say var dump, need to terminate this as well. We can say it's equal to our item or it's equal to our cart, whichever one. So this should show us what we have inside it. Let's go ahead and check. So right now, if we load this and say add to cart, you can see how many do we have there. We have the item ID, which is 12, item name, the name, the price, the quantity, and the image. Right, so this has increased to be 5 because we are storing the entire thing inside there. Alright, so now it's showing 5, but we actually click on 1, we'll fix that one later. Let's move on. So now what we want to do next is that if you, because there will be an error now, if you click on another product, you see this changed to another 5 again, so it's not persisting the session. That's what I just want to explain here. It's not persisting the session. We need to be storing those items in a session that will be able to persist what we are doing. So in that case, what we are going to do now is that rather than just storing this directly like this, we'll store the item into an array of 0. So with this will fix one thing about our this thing. Now if you come here, see the first one and the new one, the one we have there before and this new one, and look at it, rather than adding it to be 10 is 6 now. That means it's adding just 1. So what we need to do at first is this. Let me first of all destroy the one that we have there, session destroy, so we can destroy the session right here, and then, or let me see, after we get it, here, then we destroy it. Let me see if that will work for us. If I load this now, okay, that thing is after I click on the button. Let me put it in such a way that immediately the page loads. First of all, destroy the session. So you cannot destroy a session that is not started, that means it must be after this. But if we, okay, let me put it, because the session is already there. So now, I know there will be an error that we cannot destroy a session that has not been started. Okay, so what I will do now is, let me first of all destroy the session, and then I will remove that line. Okay, so the session is destroyed now. You can see all these ones are not showing anything again. Then I can now comment that. So let me add to cart now and see what will happen. If I click on add to cart, you can see it's now just one, rather than adding the entire 5, because it's seeing it as an array. By putting this 0 here, so we only store it inside a position of 0. Alright, now, so now that we have done that, let us move on. Now, we now need to check something. Now, when you add this one, is adding, but if you click on add another one, see, it's changed to another one like that. It's not persisting whatever you had, but at least that one fixes our incremental. So what we need to do now is to check if there is one in the array, we add it, and if there is no one, we just make it to be only that one. So how do we go about that? So we come here, right here, we will check that if the session cart is already set, check, I'm going to say if it's set, the session cart, if the session cart is set, meaning that if there is something in the session cart already, then what do you want to do? We open this here, and then let me close it down here. Let me close it down here. Like this, yes. Okay. So otherwise, else. That means if there is nothing in the session, now what will now happen? If there is nothing in the session at all, then this will happen. The whole of this will copy it and put it right here. Now, if it is not, that is, if there is nothing, let me cut out this. So now, if the session cart is set, if there is something there before, then we need to do something. We need to check the item in the session. So, but let me put that one there. No, we are going to have the two. If the session, if we have session, that's what is here. Else, if we don't have anything in the session, this one we add the items into the session. Now let us continue. We have done that. If there is nothing in our session, we add it. But let's check if we now have something in the session. So we don't need this one here again. If we have item in our session already, if something is in our session, then we have to check what is that inside our session. If it is what we have added before, so we tell the person that the item has already been added, or probably we might say, okay, we want to increment the quantity only. It depends on how we want to handle that. So here now, I will first of all check what we are adding now. Item array, that is the item in our session array. Remember I told you that it's going to be stored as an array, and we have checked it is storing it as an array. So we now use a function array column of PHP array underscore column. What does it do? Let's look at it. It's return the value from a single column in the input array. It will just return a single value from whatever array is, like the column of that. We know what a table is, so it will just bring out maybe the column value from the column and check. So we are checking that item array is equal to what? Array column. What are we doing? We are picking one value out of our section cards. Out of our session cards, we are picking what? We are picking, which column are we picking? We are picking the item ID. You know, out of this is the array that is inside our session cards. So out of all this, just pick out of this, pick what? Pick the item ID and store it as what? As an item array. So if we have product 1, product 2, product 3, product 4, it will just pick their ID and store it right here. That is what we are doing. Okay, then we now want to check that, okay, if you check what we have in our session before, if the ID is in the new one we are bringing, then do this. Otherwise, if it is not there, continue. So now what we need to do is, if it is not there, we check if what? If it is not in array, that is, in array is used to check whether something is inside our array or not. So if it is not in array, what is that? What is not in array? The ID that we are posting forward. Against what? Our item array. What this is that let me first of all do this. This will put IDs of cart items. Item array variable. That is what the next line will do. So this next line we now check this will check if the new product added to cart is in the item array, that is code cart. So if the product we are adding is already in the item array, then what do you want to do? That is what is there. But we already put not, that is, this we check if not is not in the item array, that is the old cart. If it is not there, then that is where you do what? you perform all this operation, this add to cart, blah blah blah, here, here. Then here, else, otherwise, do another thing. That's another if condition. So now here we're saying if item array not in array items, then the next thing you do after this part, that when you check if it is not there, then we want to count what we have before in the session. So count what we have inside our session cart before, count it and store it into this count. When you count it and store it, then here we are not going to be adding, this one is if there is item in our array already, you have added some things into cart, then you should take the position of the count and add this one there. That is, the first one we had will be in position 0. So when you now count, this one will be 1, and then this one will now be session count 1. That means this one is 1. Session count what? 1. That's where we are storing this new item you are bringing. The next one. When you had that one finish, you are adding another one again. If it is a new one that is not already added, it will do what? It will add, it will check the count and add that into the cart. This one is if it is not, if it is there already. But we can check that, okay, well, if we, this one that says else, that okay, if it is there, this one says if it is not there already, that the new one we are adding is not already be added, add this new one, it's a new product that we are adding. But if it's not a new product, it's something you have added before, you can come here and tell the person that product has already been added, that's the one, or you say you increment the quantity. You can do it either way. If this is what you are going to do, if you want to increment the quantity, what you are going to do in this case is you come here, all these ones, copy this, you come here and put this here, and then the quantity will now be what? You won't add it to the you won't add a new one, but you only do what? You take that product and add its quantity. So don't let us go into that. Let us just, because what I wanted to do is that, what you do is that if this one is else, then you do what? You increment, this one will be like whatever that is in the quantity, item quantity plus 1. That is, to add 1 to the quantity. But let us just do what? Let us just echo scripts. Where do we have scripts before, so that we can leverage on that without need to start creating it again. Okay, so here where we echo product added successfully, I will just come right here and say echo product already added to cart. So you don't need to re-add it again. That's what it means. That, okay, the product has already been added. Alright, so now let us go ahead and check what we have. So the first time we run this, it will destroy the session. Let me see the session destroyed. Oh, I have commented that part. Let me enable it back so that we can destroy whatever we have in the session before. We are going to implement that very soon. So let me show that. Yeah, so this is 0 now. So we can now comment that part again. Okay, so now let's see if we now click on add to cart, what will happen if you click on this? Yeah, we get one. So this one, I will comment that part now. We don't need to start doing this every time we add to cart. At least we have been able to see what is inside there. Okay, so we have a product in the cart now. If I refresh, this is the beauty of the session, it is still there. Anywhere I go to, this cart is still there. So if I click on it again, what do I see? Product already added to cart, and it's not incrementing it. But if I go on and click another product, then I get 2. You can see that. So I'm not giving any feedback whether a product has been added to cart or not. Otherwise, we'll just be have to do that right here. Like here, where we check whether it's a new one, we alert that. And if it is not a new one, we also alert here when we add it to cart. If that is what we want to do, in case we want to see that, come here, see echo products added to cart here. So I'll copy it here too, in case if it is a new item, then where we are adding the 0 here. So now if I should go back and destroy what we have in this session, okay, it's gone now. So I will come back there and enable it. So now let me go ahead and add to cart. I should click on this, say product added to cart, and then we get it. If you click on that product again, say product already added to cart, and it's not bringing product added to cart, say this product added to cart, and we get it to be 2. If you click on that again, you see product already added to cart, and that's it on add to cart. So after this, the next thing for us now is to go ahead, and when you click here, it will take you to the page where you'll be able to see all the products that you have added to cart. Thank you.